But I do.
Okay. So what we'll do is when we start, we'll just ask everybody as normal just to mute themselves, and then Pearl will give her presentation to us. So how is everybody? How are you, Jackie?
I'm fine. How are you, Susan?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. It's all is good, thank God. I'm pleased to say we're busy and we're doing okay, which is good. So yeah.
Amazing all the work you're doing, really is.
Well, we try. We try. Hi, Vicky. How are you? You're on mute. You're on mute.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, how are you?
Baruch Hashem, hanging in. How about you?
Yeah, thank God, Baruch Hashem. Doing okay. Thank you. Do you know everybody in the room, Vicky? Vicky, do you know everybody?
I don't know. I'm going to have to turn my phone and see if I can see everybody.
Okay. Wendy, did you mind to put on your camera for a moment? And Vicky, do you want to?
Okay.
Thank
Sure.
you. And then everybody can see everyone, and then you can put them on the, you can switch your cameras off when we start. Hi, Wendy. It's good to see you.
Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Vicky. How are you?
Hi, fine, thanks, and you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. So
That's good.
we have Vicky and Vicky. Say hi to each other.
Hi.
And we have Wendy. This is Wendy.
Hi.
Avital, Jackie, and Pearl, who is giving the presentation to us this evening. Okay.
So it's lovely to meet all of you. Are you all from Israel? In Israel? I don't know any of you.
Yes.
All in Israel. Oh, wonderful.
Wendy's an ex-English person. She's been here, I think.
Oh, I've met Pearl. Pearl knows me.
I do know.
She's from
Yes,
Manchester. Yeah, okay, makes sense.
That's right, yes.
Actually, I'm originally a Londoner, but I'll take on the Manchester identity as well. I'm proud to have lived in Manchester as well.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure I'm proud to live in England. Anyway, go on. Not at the moment.
Would you like me to?
Let's just give it one more moment, okay? Because originally quite a few people signed up, but we'll see. I know that 2 people texted me today to say, can we record it, because they can't make it. So let's just give it one more moment and then we'll get going and take it from there.
However, while we're waiting, could I just know who knows about tapping and who doesn't? Because I'm going to assume that people don't, because it's, you know, that's what I'm going to do. But I would like to have an idea. If you want to just let me know or write in the chat, whatever's easier.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know a little bit about tapping, and I've used the tapping solution app quite a bit.
Okay, good. That's good to know.
So I don't know anything about it.
Lovely.
I'm curious to know and to learn.
Okay, lovely.
So somebody else has just joined. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Deborah. Hi.
Good to see you, Susan, and everybody else.
Okay, so I might have a problem now, so just bear with me.
Susan, is the meeting an hour?
Yeah, I think that would be an idea to, as I said, maybe we can do, how long will the training take you?
This wasn't a training.
No, it's an introduction, yeah.
This is it's going to be whatever you want it to be, actually. I can do whatever you would like. Originally, we said we were just going to see, first of all, to introduce to people what it is and have an experience of it and use it for yourself, and then see where we go from there. More than happy to offer a training, but 1 hour would be far too little.
Okay, so I have a problem. I'm going to have to leave the meeting open because there's a call come through on the emergency support line and we have no cover. So I'm going to call them back. So I'm going to, hopefully, I don't think anybody else now will, it's already 6 minutes past. So I will come back
Would
in.
you like, Susan, can I suggest you make somebody a co-host and then they can let someone in?
Okie dokie. Avital, I'm making you co-host.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, and I'm muting myself.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyway, it's lovely to meet you all, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity. So just a little bit about myself. My name is Pearl Lopian. As you heard, I am from England. I trained as a psychotherapist very, very similar time as I trained in tapping, EFT tapping. I would say that tapping found me rather than I found it. I haven't got a whole wow story, an aha moment. I just heard about it. It appealed to me. I made it my business to learn more and then learn more and then learn more. And before I knew it, I've completed about 8,000 individual sessions, and I've trained quite a couple of hundred people. And I teach masterclasses, and there's always more to know. This is what's so fascinating. There's always more to know. So I run workshops and I have private clients, and I want to kind of just say for a moment the difference. Well, first of all, what is tapping? What is tapping? So tapping is an amazing method. It's a tool that we use within our therapy. So it's a tool. So it's a bit like saying, what is a screwdriver? It's really only as good as how you use it. It can do lots of different things, and it's how you use it. So the tapping method is a method that we use to reduce unwanted thoughts, emotions, feelings, clear responses to trauma. So it works to release a traumatic memory in a very, very quick and simple way, particularly useful at this time, and it works fast. The tapping, the stimulation of the acupuncture points, and we go round and around on the same points, the actual stimulation of the points sends a signal to the limbic area of the brain, to the emotional area of the brain, and it's a calming down technique. There's a very big difference between tapping and EFT therapy, EFT tapping therapy. So the stimulation of the acupuncture points and the calming down method, we can all do. We can all do at any time. We can all do, and it's a wonderful self-help method. And it really, really is. And that's why on these apps, there's so much of it. And there are so many tap-alongs, and that really works really, really well. However, tapping therapy is something completely different, because and that's why when I say there's so much to do, in a session, when you tap with a client, you are affecting brainwave states, and people are dropping out of the logical areas of the brain, and they're actually going into the emotional areas. Their brainwaves start to change, and as they go into the hypnotic areas, information pops into their head, taking them to the source of what their issue is. So it's a calming down technique. Mainly the skill with it is that it's a retrieving technique, because it retrieves what's really, really going on in the deeper mind. So when people present, and I'm not talking about now how to deal with trauma, I'm talking about really how to get to the trauma. So, we have all different type of clients. We have those clients that present with, and they know what they want to clear. I've had X and Y happen, and I want to clear that away. So that is that we do quite simply with tapping therapy. When people present and they don't know where their issues are from, they're just saying, I'm feeling this and I'm feeling that, and this is how I am in my day-to-day life. When we're tapping, we're using it as a retrieval technique, how to get to the source of the issue. And things just tend to pop in, because the more that we quieten the thinking mind, and the more that we drop into what we call the alpha and the theta brain waves, information starts to come our way. You know, if I give you a simple example, and it's really very, very simple when I tell you. So just say I have a man comes to me and he says, I get angry a lot and I really, really don't know why. I really don't know why. I have a good life. Everything's fine in my life. I get angry and I particularly notice it. I get angry. My kids love climbing on my back and I just get into a rage. I just get into a rage. I can be reading the paper. The kids climb on my back. I just get into a rage. So in a session, we talk. Now it's a repetitive technique and we talk and we tap at the same time. So I repeat what he says back to him. That's what we do in a session, tapping at the same time. And as he does that with me, a memory pops into his head. And when I tell you, it's going to be quite obvious. He goes to a memory that he's in boarding school and he sees himself in the corridor of the boarding school away from home and he's bullied. And the bullies are coming behind him and they grab him on his back and they take him away and they beat him up. So what do we know? When his kids are climbing on his back, his body has made a matched experience, which is he's forgotten it. In his logical brain, he's forgotten it, but his body's got the memory of it. So when his kids are climbing on his back, he's feeling that anger and the rage that was buried then. You know, we all know in trauma, there's that feeling of isolation, helplessness, and shock. And if it's not dealt with, and if it's not diffused, it's going to stay in the body. So when the kid's climbing on his back, he goes back to that memory. And then when we read, we talk about the memory in a very gentle way. So I have all these techniques how to deal with trauma in a very gentle way. So that's what we do. So we then clear what happened when he was at boarding school so that he can go forward and his kids can climb on his back and he feels completely fine. So I could spend the whole hour giving you examples of what I do with inner child's work, with surrogate work, with tuning into your child and your child changes without them having to do a thing. I could talk about that over and over again. I don't think that's what you particularly want to hear. Unless you feel you do, I'm more than happy to give more examples. What I think might be more interesting would be how, actually before I do that, I'll also just speak about the group that I run. So I've spoken about private therapy, I've spoken about self-help. I also run groups. Now, I don't know, some of you may know that on October the 8th, I opened up a group that and I offer tapping every single day for free. Anyone can join the group. There's more than 600 people who are now in this group, though I wouldn't say there's certainly not that amount every day. And none of us knew how long this was going to go on. None of us. And the idea of that group is that people can day to day use it as a day-to-day calm down technique, because the last thing that we want, and we all know that, we don't want anybody to have long-term traumatization. So it's a great and simple method, really, really simple method to help people calm their nervous system down, because we all know that whatever we are thinking, we're feeling in our energy body. And if we can do something that helps our energy body, our thoughts start to loosen and change. And we can see with a lot of the therapies now, they're bringing in some form of tapping. So that's what I've been doing every single day in the group. And an example, just the other day, one of the women was very upset because her husband had gone into Miluim and she's got 4 children and she just doesn't know how she's going to manage. She just didn't know, and she was in a state. And with the group, we probably I led her through maybe 4 rounds of tapping. And a round of tapping means just going round, and we're going to do this. We'll all do this together and you'll see and you'll experience this. A round of tapping means tapping very, very gently on these points. And it's always, always, always the same points. We go round and around and around and around the same points whilst talking. Mostly whilst talking. There is times to do silent tapping, but we do talking. And when we talk whilst we tap, we acknowledge the problem. So we say things like, even though my husband's gone to Miluim, and even though I can't bear it, and even though I don't know how I'm going to manage, you can't see that on points, but I will show you the points soon. And even though I can't bear it, and I don't know how I'm going to manage, and I absolutely hate it, I accept my feelings. And we just tap as we're saying that. So we say the negative. We say the negative of how I'm feeling. I hate it. I can't bear it. I feel hopeless. Whatever her words are, we use her words. And then we just go around the points, and then we trust the tapping, because what does the tapping do? The tapping calms the energy body as we talk. It calms the energy body with what we're being tuned into. So we do about 3 or 4 rounds. So if I rated her at 0 to 10, how high and strong her feelings were, I would say there were 9+ at the beginning. And we did maybe 3 rounds. And then she said, I feel I have a smile on my face now. And I think my number's a 2 or a 3, I think she said. And then we did a couple more rounds. So it's a very, very, very quick technique when you work in a group, because the energy is multiplied. The energy is multiplied. So doing it in a group is a little bit of a mix of tap along and therapeutic. If anyone has any questions, please, I'm always glad to hear. There's also group therapy that one can do, also highly, highly effective because of the power. This is energy healing. I know it is a woo-woo for some. It is energy healing because we are working on the energy body. The energy body sits inside our physical body, lives inside our physical body. Our energy body responds to whatever we're thinking. We're stimulating. As we stimulate these meridian points, we are changing the rhythm, we're opening up our chi, we're changing the flow. And as we do that, thoughts change, thoughts loosen. Because what we want to do, there's a few things that we want to do, all of us as therapists. We all want to feel better. And we also want to help our clients get a shift in cognition. In other words, the relationship that they have to their issue, we want them to loosen. Want them to loosen their relationship to the issue, and any traumas that they're being triggered to, we want to release the triggers and release the trauma. Okay, so that's not for now. What I understood with Susan was that we would be using tapping to have an experience of it and see what we can do with ourselves in the here and now. So up to you. We can work with something small. So anybody who wants to say how they're feeling right now. So as this group is just being recorded for therapists, you know, anything that you want to say about how you're feeling as a therapist, how you're feeling about anything at all. Again, we're not talking about the big things. And we're going to do some group tapping together. And then at the same time, you will get an experience. You'll understand how to do it as a tap along. And you'll see what you think. Okay, so who would like to tell me? Or you can ask me any questions or anything at all. Deborah, yes.
Thanks. I had a question first. Thank you. Do you feel like there's something very different about the tapping as opposed to working with the breath to get the parasympathetic system going? I mean, do you feel like there's a different mechanism?
So the tapping there is a very interesting thing, because I think it's a mix. I think it's a mix of stimulating the points. You're stimulating the points. You're connecting with your clients. You're mirroring what they're saying because they're looking at you. So you get into a very, very strong relationship with your client. They're looking at you and they're tapping with you at the same time. You're saying their words. So the rapport gets stronger, the connection gets stronger. You connect to their intuition. You help them to connect to their intuition. The breathing, yes, there's some breath in and out at the end, but there's so much more that goes into it. And there's also intention. And there's also the placebo effect. So all of those put together, it's very hard for me to say how much the actual stimulation of the points is making the difference, how much the words are making the difference, how much the breath at the end is making the difference. Today I worked on with a teddy bear. So sometimes we tap on teddy bears, we don't even tap on ourselves. So we're not actually tapping on our points, we're tapping on a teddy bear's points, and we're relying on the mirror neurons to affect our own points. So all of that goes into the mix. So that's the only way I can really answer you.
Yeah, and I was also wondering if it's like something about being at the same rhythm as of the heartbeat. I don't know if there's anything there.
I've never thought about that. I will say though, there's a very difference. I mean, this is why I always say to my clients, sometimes I go slow, sometimes I go fast, and sometimes I go really, really fast, because it all depends. And that's what a good skilled therapist will know. You go slower with feeling if you're talking about feelings in the body, and much faster if you're working on an image, because you never want anybody to get re-traumatized. So when we're working with images, we work really fast. So speed also makes a difference.
Okay, thank you. I had an example of a small thing if nobody else has one.
Okay, so what I suggest, okay, so you tell me, and then I'm going to tell you about borrowing benefits, and we will and we'll start. So yes, I'm just going to write down what you're telling me.
So I had an argument with my teenage son today.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Sorry.
I had an argument with my teenage son today. I'm trying to think of something little, like I'm not super upset about it, but I'm not really happy about it.
Okay. So when you say you had an argument with your teenage son today, how much does that bother you, 0 to 10?
Probably a 3. 3.
3. So not
Yeah.
that much, just a little bit.
Yeah.
10 is always the worst, 0 is the best. And what bothers you about it, about the argument, having the argument?
Well, that we both started our day getting into a fight again, which happened yesterday as well.
Mm-hmm.
That we're not really negotiating, we're just kind of both digging in our heels.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I'm not being supportive enough of him, but I also don't want to spoil him. So I'm sort of confused in my own mind if I'm doing the right thing.
Okay. Can I ask you, when you're telling me all of this, are you noticing what's going on inside? Like, what do you feel is going on in your body when you're telling me that?
Little fluttering around my chest.
Okay, thanks. All right, so before we start, what I suggest to the others is you find something that you want to that you would like to use this for. And if you can't think of anything, check out what your breathing's like, or check out if you've got any. Now we can work with this. I've worked with back pains, I've worked with Parkinson's, I've worked with all sorts of things like that. So we can also use it on physical issues. But choose something small, an ache or a pain if you like, or something small that's bothering you. You do not need to tell me what it is. You do not need to tell anyone what it is. But I would like you to either write it down somewhere. So write it on a piece of paper. And just measure how in your mind, so write it down and then just let the number pop into your head. How much does this bother me, or how strong is it? How intense is it? 0 to 10. So you write that down. So what is it? Write it down, 0 to 10. And then just leave the paper wherever. And then I'm going to ask you to tap along silently whilst I tap with Deborah. But Deborah and I are going to be using words, but I want you tap silently along. And then when we're done, we're going to check in again with whatever you've written down, and you're going to see what your number is like. Is that clear? Okay, so I'm just going to give you a moment to do that. Okay, and just so you're done. Okay, so I'm first of all going to show you the points before we even start. I'm going to show you the points. So the first point is on the side of the hand. This is what we call a balancing point. It can either be right to left or left to right. It doesn't make a difference. You can do it over on this side or you can do it on this side, whatever's comfortable. It's a very forgiving technique. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is a balancing, we call this a balancing point because one of the ideas of tapping is reminding ourselves that even though we have this issue, we're still the same people, we're still okay. We're just holding this emotion in this moment. So we kind of wrap up how we're feeling in a balancing statement. So we say how we're feeling, and even though we're feeling like this, we remind ourselves, I accept how I feel, I'm still okay, I'm still me. If it's a child, we'll do Mummy loves me. I can bring you lots and lots of examples how we've tapped with children. Even though I'm scared to have an injection, Mummy loves me anyway. Very, very, very quick it works with children. Very, very quick. So side of the hand is always our even though place. So it's even though. The original protocol is saying the even though statement 3 times, but I'm not going to stick to the original protocol here. I'm just going to do what feels right. But that's the original protocol. Say your even though statement 3 times on the side of the hand. And then the points, the first point is on the eyebrow. So it's where the eyebrow starts. And we just tap very, very gently. So it's really, really gently. And you can do it on one side. I do it on both sides. That's the first point. And then the next point is the side of the eye. Okay, Deborah, I wouldn't mind you, are you doing, because seeing as you're the person I'm tapping with, it's important that you're following along. Side of the eye. So with both fingers, with both sides.
Just taking up.
Okay. And then the next point is under the eye. Very, very gentle, very gentle. There is always a time for silent tapping under the nose. Silent tapping is very good when somebody's very, very, very tuned into their issue. And it's really, really good for emotional first aid. Because when somebody's really tuned in, chin point, we do not need words, because words will only make them feel worse. So we don't want to use words. So for emotional first aid, just tapping very gently on these points. And I'll also show you, actually a couple of ways that you can use this for emotional first aid. Well, Susan, I hope you remind me, because I've got 2 other ways to show how you can use it for emotional first aid. And then the collarbone, again, doesn't have to be perfect. Intention is an amazing, and it's an amazing thing. So on the collarbone, very, very gently. And then underarm. So when I come down here, you're not going to really see because of the camera, but underarm is not in the armpit. It's lower down, about 3 inches below. And you can do it on one side. If you like the sensation to do it on both sides, you can also do it on both sides. And then sometimes we come back to the collarbone, or we just continue a couple more rounds. And then we're going to take a breath in and a long breath out. Okay, I'm going to immediately start with Deborah, if that's okay. And I want everyone else just muted. And Deborah, are you okay to repeat my words with me? And
I just wanted to tell you that Jackie had a question. She had her hand raised.
I know, but I just want to actually stay with the, well,
Sure.
when I don't want to go into logical brain, because what we're doing is we're coming out of logical brain. We're already beginning to change our brainwave states. So I did see, but I was Yeah, I want to stay with the process. So side of the hand. So if you just repeat my words, even though
Even though
I had an argument with my son today,
I had an argument with my son today,
and we're just digging in our heels,
and we're just digging in our heels.
and I'm feeling,
And
Yeah.
I'm feeling
I'll let you fill in the words, I'm feeling
jangled.
jangled,
Mhm.
and I'm feeling jangled. Okay. I deeply and completely,
I didn't hear that. What was that?
I deeply and completely
I deeply and completely
accept my feelings.
accept my feelings.
Okay, we're just going to say that 3 times. Even though
Even though
I had an argument with my son today,
I had an argument with my son today,
and I'm feeling jangled,
and I'm feeling jangled,
I accept how I feel.
I accept how I feel.
Even though
Even though
I had an argument with my son today,
I had an argument with my son today,
and we started the day with an argument,
and we started a day with an argument,
and I'm feeling jangled,
and I'm feeling jangled,
and I feel some fluttering in my chest,
and I feel some fluttering in my chest.
I accept how I feel.
I accept how I feel.
Okay, so now we're just going to come. So now we're just repeating my words as we go around the points. I had an argument with my son today.
I had an argument with my son today.
I'm feeling jangled.
I'm feeling jangled,
I'm feeling jangled.
feeling jangled,
And I feel some fluttering around my chest.
and I feel some fluttering around my chest.
I feel fluttering around my chest.
I feel fluttering around my chest.
I had an argument with my son today.
I had an argument with my son today.
I'm under the arm. I'm feeling jangled.
I'm feeling jangled.
Okay, we're coming back to the eyebrow. I'm feeling jangled.
I'm feeling jangled.
I'm feeling jangled.
I'm feeling jangled.
And I feel fluttering in my chest.
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 And I feel the fluttering in my chest.
And I feel fluttering in my chest.
We started our day with an argument.
We started our day with an argument.
I feel jangled.
Feel jangled.
It's under my arm and you can't see me over here. Okay, take a breath in and a long breath out. Okay, and just tell me what you're noticing.
Palmer, I am feeling some fluttering in my arms now.
Okay, so something's moving.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? And we're going to do a round on what you've just told me. Is there anything else you noticed?
I'm noticing that I'm feeling fidgety.
Fidgety, okay. Okay. Even though the feeling is moving,
the feeling is moving.
now I'm feeling fluttering in my arms.
Now I'm feeling fluttering in my arms.
And I feel fidgety.
And I feel fidgety.
I accept how I feel.
I accept how I feel.
Even though
I'm
feeling the fluttering in my arms.
I'm feeling the fluttering in my arms.
And I'm feeling fidgety.
And I'm feeling fidgety.
I really am okay anyway.
I really am okay anyway.
Even though I'm feeling the fluttery.
Even though I'm feeling fluttery.
And fidgety.
And fidgety.
I really am okay anyway.
I really am okay anyway.
I'm feeling the fluttery arms.
I'm feeling fluttery in my arms.
I'm feeling fidgety.
I'm feeling fidgety.
I had an argument with my son.
I had an argument with my son.
I feel. What word would he pop in? I feel.
Okay.
I feel okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the jangles is gone?
Mostly. I would say 80%.
Okay. So the jangles has gone 80%. I'll let you repeat the words. The
Oh, the
jangle,
jangle is gone 80%.
and the bit that's left under the arm, the bit that's left
And the bit that's left
is
is
a feeling of
a feeling of unrest.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Unrest.
Unrest. Unrest. Okay, take a breath in and a breath out. Okay, and then just come back to the side of the hand. Okay, even though there's a feeling of unrest,
there's a feeling of unrest,
I accept how I feel.
I accept how I feel.
Even though that's what I have now,
Even though that's what I have now,
a feeling of unrest,
a feeling of unrest,
I am okay.
I'm okay.
Even though I have this feeling of unrest,
Even though I have this feeling of unrest,
I am okay.
I am okay.
I had an argument with my son.
I had an argument with my son.
I'm 80% better,
I'm 80% better.
and there's still some unrest.
There's still some unrest.
There's still some unrest.
There's still some unrest.
And that's where I'm up to.
And that's fair enough.
That's where I'm up to.
Oh, that's where I'm up to.
I'm not going to judge it.
I'm not going to judge it.
I'm going to acknowledge.
I'm going to acknowledge.
That's where I'm up to.
That's where I'm up to.
Okay, take a breath in and wash it out. Okay, what are you noticing now?
Yeah, I'm feeling more peaceful.
What was that like to do that, first of all? What would you say?
Well, I've done tapping before and I know it's really effective for me. So I think I had a similar response that kind of just got out of my head on it. And I love the acceptance. This is what I'm feeling and I accept that. I felt really good. Kind of took the sting away from it.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I've got two more things that I want to say. First of all, I'd like to hear about the numbers from the others. So can you just check in your number and just tell me what you've noticed if anyone wants to? And see if your numbers come down and if you feel any differently. Check in, please give me feedback if you wish, and then I'm going to continue with the next thing that I want to do. And thank you very much, Deborah. Thank you. Okay, so if there's it's curious to know for yourselves if your numbers come down at all, if you noticed any change.
I guess, hi, it's Avital. Sorry, my camera's off.
That's fine.
Hi, being that nobody's done it. So I just want to say firstly, thank you for doing this. And what I noticed, the truth is that I was kind of looking at your model, you know, when you did it with Deborah and just following along like that. It was hard for me to do my own sentences while you know, listening to the both of you.
Avital,
Yes.
it was about silent tapping. That's what I said to you. Put it on a piece of paper. Do not use your word. Do not say any words. Just tap along. That's
Right.
the
So I'm getting there. So that's what we did, or less what I did, and I did feel somewhat of a difference.
It's a very interesting phenomenon, this borrowing benefits, how it can actually make a difference. You know, because I have a group sometimes with 30 people in the group and I only speak with maybe 3 people and other people's numbers come down. And what I want to do is a slightly different demonstration because I think this might be more interesting. I mean, not that that wasn't interesting, but this might be more interesting because what I want to show you is how your response to a picture can change. So here is a suggestion. Has anyone got a scene that you've seen in a fictitious movie? So we're going to do it like this. A scene that you've seen in a movie or in a film or on a Netflix or something, not war related. You know it's actors, but when you look at it, you have a response, because I want to show you how quickly that can shift. And that's you're going to find very interesting, because when people bring real examples of things that have happened in their life, they're going to access it the same way in their brain. And this is a fantastic technique for reducing our response to visuals. You know, I had a client last week whose husband had fainted very suddenly, and she found him on the stairs, and it was a very big trauma for her. And we did this technique, and it was really, really quick, I think within half an hour, and she hadn't been sleeping and she couldn't get the picture out of her mind. And especially now, there's lots of people who can't get pictures out of their minds. But I wouldn't mind to demo this. But if we do it with something from a scene from a movie or a film or a television program, then we can do it without us being too emotionally attached to it. So would somebody have something like that? It can be like, you know, I've had people do things from when they remember from being a child, some sort of dragon or monsters and things that they've seen in a film, and they still, when they see it, they're like, ugh. Or even if it doesn't have to get too very high, but if the picture is strong, something where the picture is strong. If we don't like this example, we can do another example. If nobody can come up with anything, we can all do another example.
I suppose for me,
Yeah.
probably, my father just passed away a few months ago, and I was with him at the very end, and I have that vision every so often of my father dying. So that's something that disturbs me. It doesn't come for a long time. It doesn't last for a long time. But when it's there, I see his face very clearly, the way that he was positioned in the bed.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of comes back at me every so often.
Okay, so are you comfortable to do that now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so would you say that the picture's quite strong right now?
It is now, because you're talking about something that has kind of kick-started that visual. Yeah.
Okay, so again, with everyone else, if you want to tune into something of your own, measure it, and do not use your own words, just tap along silently. So you can just let your mind, you can even let your mind have a wander whilst you're watching, whatever you want, as long as you're still doing the tapping and as long as you've written down beforehand, or we can just carry on with what you put down before and then see what your number is now and then see what your number is afterwards and see what else has shifted. Okay, so this is going to be a very, very repetitive technique. Okay, so it will, to the observers, it will sound quite repetitive. However, it won't feel repetitive for myself and it won't feel repetitive for Susan. Okay, so tapping on the side of the hand. Even though, okay, so everyone else is muted. I'm just going to ask everyone to mute. Okay, even though I see his face very clearly.
I see his face very clearly.
And I see how he is positioned in the bed.
And I see how he's positioned in the bed.
That's what I see.
That's what I see.
Even though I see his face very clearly.
I see his face very clearly.
And how he is positioned in the bed.
And how he's positioned in the bed.
I send myself love.
I can hear you.
I send myself love.
I send myself love.
Even though I see his face very clearly.
Even though I see his face very clearly.
And how he is positioned in the bed.
And how he's positioned in the bed.
I am okay.
I am okay.
Even though I see his face very clearly.
Even though I see his face very clearly.
And how he is positioned in the bed.
And how he's positioned in the bed.
I really, really am okay.
I really, really am okay.
Okay, so now we're going to go twice around the points and we're going to say it together. We're going to say it together. So it's not going to be me saying it and you repeating it. We're going to be saying together and we're going to be saying, I see his face very clearly and how he is positioned in the bed. And we're going to say that on every point and we're going to say it together. I see his face very clearly and how he is positioned in the bed.
How he's positioned in the bed.
I see his face very clearly and how he is positioned in the bed. I see his face very clearly and how he is positioned in the bed. I see his face very clearly and how he is positioned in the bed. I see his face very clearly and how he is positioned in the bed. I see his face very clearly and how he is positioned in the bed. I see his face very clearly and how he is positioned in the bed. Another round. I see his face very clearly and how he is positioned in the bed. I see his face very clearly and how he is positioned in the bed. I see his face very clearly and how he is positioned in the bed. I see his face very clearly and how he is positioned in the bed. I see his face very clearly and how he is positioned in the bed. I see his face very clearly and how he is positioned in the bed. I see his face very clearly and how he is positioned in bed. And back to collarbone. I see his face very clearly and how he is positioned in bed. Breath in. And a long breath out. And another one. And a breath out. Okay. So now just tell me what the picture's like.
It's gone.
Pardon?
It's gone. It's gone.
It's gone. Can you get it back? So
I don't really want to try to get it back.
Don't want to try. Well, I'm only saying, can you get it back? Because you will tell me it's really, really hard to get it back. It's really hard. And you're going to find it's harder to pull it back. It's just harder. It's like, where's it gone?
That's fine. I'm happy.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. However, with clients, we want to test. We want to test. So we always test and we make sure, because we want people to be zero and we want it to stay. So that's what I would be normally saying is, can you get it back? And if they can't, if they can, we do another round. And thank you. And
It's gone.
yeah, it's gone. Okay.
So,
and how
so present as you were talking at the beginning and asking anybody had anything to bring, and I couldn't visualize anything in a film or anything, only that memory that was there, that, you know, so that's what I chose, and thank you. It's gone.
So what do the observers think of that? What do we think of that? It's effective. It's very, very effective.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Thank you. And Avital, how is whatever you were tuned into, how's that doing?
It's good.
I want to show you a couple more things that you can do. Now, you can, whatever you do, you mustn't use this therapeutically because you're not trained, but for self-help and small things and emotional first aid, you certainly can. You certainly can. So you can do the silent tapping. Now, I'll think maybe I'll send something out, Susan, or maybe we'll have a talk about it afterwards, what I can send out.
Okay.
What I can send out. And you know where you'd like this to go further, and we can talk about it and we can see what response we get if people watch the recording. We've got the silence tapping, which is just a matter of tapping very, very gently. 10 to 15 times. Now, when we're doing it slowly, that's slow on each point. It's about 10 to 15 times on each point. Fantastic for calming down. Fantastic. There's a Swedish organization called Peaceful Heart Network, and they have gone round hundreds of people in Rwanda and Kenya, places, all sorts of places where a lot has happened. And they're fascinating to watch how they're doing tapping in the Congo and all sorts of places. It's a wonderful, though you can see so much on their website. They're called the Peaceful Heart Network, and they're called TTT, they call it, not EFT, and it's trauma tapping technique. And all they do is silent tapping. They do not do any words because they believe words are not necessary, especially when people are tuned in. So all they're doing is 10 to 15 times round the points and then a breath in and a breath out afterwards. So really, really good as a calming down, 10 to 15 times on each point. And it's even quite nice to do it as a daily routine. You can check into yourself in the morning and think, okay, how am I feeling right now? What's my number 0 to 10? It's about a 7. 0 being the best, 10 is the worst. And then just do 2 rounds and you have a cumulative effect. So that's something that you can do in him coming to the underarm again. The other, and then you may see, if you see it on videos and you see it in the tapping solution, those who have it, they use the top of the head. You can use the top of the head. It was never in the original protocol. I personally don't like the sensation, so I don't use it. I teach it with the top of the head because I know it's been added afterwards. And then you've got your breath in and your breath out. You've got silent tapping, and then you can use reassuring words whilst you're doing silent tapping, like, look at me, it's okay, it's okay. And you always make sure your person has their eyes open. This is not a technique where we have closed eyes, we have eyes open. So it's like, look at me, it's okay, it's okay. So you can use reassuring words. Just looking at somebody tapping is really effective. I remember I did with one of my granddaughters who was scared of dogs. And there was a dog there. And I said to her, look at me, look at me, look at me. It's okay. It's okay. Just look at me. Just look at me. And we did a few rounds of tapping and my daughter got such a shock because they were out a few hours later and they were walking along and then they saw a dog on the street and then my granddaughter just ran up to the dog to stroke it, which had never done anything like that before. And that it really took just a few rounds with her. So you don't always have to, your person doesn't always have to tap with you. You can just do, as again, the mirror neurons. So this is why we really don't know how much the actual tapping of our own acupuncture point makes the difference or seeing it on someone else. It's quite fascinating. The other thing is touch and breathe. So we touch each point. So we can try that out and see if we like it. So we touch the point, take a breath in on each point and a breath out. And then we come gently around to the side, breathe in and out. And then it's under the eye. And you're all more than welcome to join any of the daily groups, and then you can just get to watch and see. Under the nose, join in and out. Chin and out. Some of us yawn a lot. We get lots of people yawning. Under the arm. So when you do underarm, it's nice to feel your hands under the arm. You can feel the warmth of your hands and breathe into them and out. And then we cross hands over chest. If you like doing that kind of stimulation, you can do that. I just like to have breathing in, holding it, and breathing out. So again, check in with your numbers now again and see what else you've noticed.
Feel lighter.
Right.
I prefer the tapping to just.
I also prefer
that doesn't really mean much to me, to be truthful with you. You know, I know that you're breathing in and you're breathing out, and I think that's what. It's the deep breathing that gets that one for me personally. But I think when you're doing this, you're more aware of what's happening. That was how I felt.
I agree with you. And I also want to say that when I said that you can just, you tune into something beforehand, then you just do the 10 or 15 times. You can let your mind have a wander. You can just let it go off anywhere, whether it thinks about what's bothering you or whether you don't. You can think about your shopping list, anything. You can put something on in the background. As long as you've tuned in before and written down your intention or written down how you feel or something with a number, it's like you've lifted up your file and then trust the tapping to do the work. The tapping shifts the relationship to the issue. You know, sometimes we're in circumstances that we cannot change. You know, that's how people present either with a situation we want to feel differently about, or we have a memory that we want to clear. We want the memory to go somewhere that we're not accessing it. We're not triggered to it. We want to release the triggers, release the trauma. You know, if we know in trauma that we have, as I said before, shock, isolation, and helplessness, tapping is the antidote, because we're clearing the shock by talking about it, taking away the isolating feeling because we're connecting, and we're taking away the helpless feeling because we are empowering. We're empowering the person to speak up. What would you have liked to have said? What would you like to have done? How do you feel? Giving them permission to speak and letting them feel empowered. So as far as I'm concerned, listen, I'm totally what I'm going to say biased, but for me, I would say it's a win-win.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That was perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and your energy and giving everything over to us in a very short space of time, but very beneficial. Maybe you would like to let people know about the group, the time of the day it's held, if people would like to join in. That would be very useful.
Yeah, so the group is, well, what I do is I add people to the WhatsApp group and then I write it in there. So if I'm organized, I like to write the timetable for the week. So I have to be honest, it just fits into my timetable. So at the beginning, I was offering 40 minutes, sometimes an hour. I've majorly cut it down, majorly. But sometimes we do metaphor tapping. There's lots of different ways. Sometimes we talk about ourselves in the third person. Sometimes we do surrogate tapping for hostages. Sometimes we do surrogate tapping for our children. So there's a whole mix in there. But I have cut it down in the timing as it's a free group. I do have a paid group on a Tuesday where we do surrogate tapping, but this is a free group. So if you just join the WhatsApp and you send me your numbers, or maybe I'll put it in I can put it in the group chat.
Yeah.
And then if you're welcome to stay, welcome to go, see what you think.
Thank you.
See what you'd like, whether you'd like some group tapping about clients, you know, and use it within supervision. It's very useful. It's very, very good for supervision. Sometimes we do role play as clients, which is fascinating to see, because then we can surrogate our clients and see, then we get information that way. Maybe we'll get something if we haven't known how to deal with them. So it's how it makes us feel when we're with our clients, and maybe if we're stuck. It's very, very clever and very handy. Get clarity. So we can use it to get clarity. So thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And what we'll do is I'll put this, when I've downloaded it, I will put it into the group, and then people who want to access it can see it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan and Pearl.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
of you.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lovely to see you all. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Love. Bye.